Today, Napheesa Collier went on First Take, and when we're talking women's basketball, you can't help but to bring up Caitlin Clark. It's just the way the world works.
It's just not fair that one team gets almost all their games on national TV. That's what WNBA star Napheesa Collier is saying about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever's TV schedule. But is this really about fairness, or is something else going on here? The truth is, networks aren't choosing the Fever because they like them more. They're choosing them because you are choosing to watch them. The numbers don't lie. Caitlin Clark's games are bringing in record viewership that the league has never seen before. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why Collier's fairness suggestion completely misses the point of how sports broadcasting actually works.
Molly Karam, you win the award for the dumbest question of the day. Napheesa Collier, you win the award for the foolish answer of the day. And Stephen A. Smith,
Did you hear what Napheesa Collier just said about Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever? Her comments on First Take are causing a major stir across basketball media, and for good reason. Collier, who's not just a Minnesota Lynx star, but also the vice president of the WNBA Players Association, appeared on ESPN's First Take, where she was directly asked about the television schedule situation.
And Napheesa Collier went on to First Take, and of course, as expected, she was asked about the Fever getting more TV viewers, which is just one of those obvious things.
The controversy: the Indiana Fever will have 41 of their 44 games broadcast nationally this season, while the defending champion New York Liberty will only get 32 games. Instead of acknowledging the simple business reality behind this decision, Collier gave what many fans are calling a confusing response, suggesting that the situation was kind of crazy and unfair to other teams.
I mean, the reason why they have more national TV games because 18 of the top 20 most viewed games last year were the Indiana Fever. It was literally if I'm not mistaken, it was if you don't count the All-Star game, there was a Las Vegas Aces and Chicago Sky game that, again, was directly before one of the Fever games which had more viewers in it, which was literally right before a Fever game. So a game that led into a Fever.
What made her comment so controversial wasn't just what she said, but how she said it. She started by acknowledging that people want to watch Caitlin Clark. That part makes perfect sense. But then she immediately pivoted, suggesting it's crazy that the defending champions don't get more coverage. She tried to have it both ways, saying she understands why networks want to show Fever games while simultaneously implying there's something unfair about it.
So if there are 175 slots, question Fee, because you know more than me, how are we able to give more games to other teams without taking away from other teams? How does that work? Please enlighten me.
The most eyebrow-raising part of her statement came when she suggested that other teams should get more TV games without taking any away from the Fever. This reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of how TV scheduling works. Networks only have so many slots available. It's literally impossible to give everyone more airtime without taking games away from someone else.
The WNBA do not decide who's on TV. Let's be there. They make the deal with the WNBA to get certain amount of games on certain days, and whatever, these networks choose who to show.
Stephen A. Smith wasn't having any of it. He responded to Collier by drawing a powerful parallel to Michael Jordan's early years in the NBA. Smith emphasized that popularity is what drives viewership, pointing out how the NBA successfully built around Jordan even before he was winning championships. The networks aren't playing favorites, they're simply responding to what the market demands.
80s, for example, when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird took the NBA by storm and they were winning championships, competing for championships, but then this dude named Michael Jordan came along. And Michael Jordan came along and he wasn't yet winning championships, but his popularity was so astronomical that the NBA practically marketed everything they could around this guy. So to know that there's an example like that as a shining example to be followed that could benefit the league, particularly down the road, Why is that an issue when we've seen that such a marketing plan has worked in the past?
What's particularly puzzling is how Collier doubled down rather than acknowledging this business reality. Her stance creates the impression she wants equal TV time regardless of what viewers actually want to watch. But why would a veteran player and Players Association vice president take this position? What's really going on here? I think it's an issue. I do think Caitlin's a star, and like I said, people want to see her in. We are trying to grow the league. Like, you need to put on TV.
It's an issue. I do think Caitlin's a star, and like I said, people want to see her, and we are trying to grow the league. Like, you need to put on TV the players that people want to see. But kind of what I said before, I don't think raising the level of the other teams has to mean bringing down Caitlin or the Indiana Fever. They should have those amount of games on TV on primetime, but I think other teams should also have more than what they have.
That's fair. Collier's comments reveal something deeper happening within the WNBA. There's growing tension between established stars and the new phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark. It's not really about fairness at all. It's about visibility and attention. The established players had a certain hierarchy and spotlight distribution before Clark arrived, and now that's being dramatically reshuffled.
The issue with this is that if you are a WNBA owner, you have any stake in the collective bargaining agreements, you see how out of touch these players are. You know you're walking into those meetings with the high ground. Shout out to Obi-Wan. I mean, it is what it is.
This situation gets even more interesting when you consider Collier's position as Vice President of the Players Association. She's supposed to be representing the financial interests of all players, yet she's taking a stance that seems to ignore the economic realities that could ultimately benefit everyone in the league. The big TV audiences Caitlin Clark attracts could eventually translate to bigger contracts for all WNBA players.
Hey, Napheesa, is it fair while my employer, ESPN, says, man, Molly, I want to pay you as much money as I possibly can, but the only way we can do that is with advertisers, is with bread. So to help your bottom line, ESPN needs to boost their bottom line. And unfortunately, Caitlin Clark, she raises everybody's bottom line.
Behind all this talk of fairness and TV scheduling lies a simple truth that the Players Association VP doesn't seem to grasp. When it comes to putting WNBA games on national television, networks aren't playing favorites, they're following the money. The numbers don't just tell a story, they scream it from the rooftops.
And like, from a casual perspective, there was 1.5 teams that were good to watch last year, or 2.5 teams. The Wings were so fun to watch. They were garbage, but they were so fun to watch. The Wings, the Fever, and the Liberty were the only teams from a casual perspective that were good to watch.